Hello and welcome to another update. In this one, we'll be covering the latest news from the front line. And starting out by the Uledar area, we see that the Ukrainian forces have advanced in the direction of the village of Novodonetsk, as well as Novomayorsk and Sevchenko. They have managed to reach all of these villages, and previously, yesterday, they managed to capture the village of Novodonetsk. However, throughout the night, the Russian forces counterattacked and managed to recapture the village, so they do not have control over it. So the Ukrainian forces have continuously been attacking on this front line, as well as on the northwestern part of the front line, west of Velyka Novosilka. So the Ukrainian forces are continuously attacking. However, so far they have not managed to hold on to any of the villages they have captured. And I say this because they also, in the Bakhmut front on the northern flank, managed to enter Berhivka. However, the Russian forces have managed to push them back across the river line here to the south of the reservoir, of the Berhivka reservoir. And we see that the Ukrainian forces have managed to gain control over this area. However, they were pushed back from the village of Berhivka. So we're seeing some minor successes by the Ukrainian probing attacks. However, the Russian forces seem to be counterattacking whenever they achieve anything. And as such, they have no permanent gains so far. However, across the whole front line, we still see continuous fighting and continuous shelling by both sides, including the Zaporizhzhia front and the Luhansk-Kreminna front. Something very interesting by the Donetsk front itself is that the Marinka fighting also continues, as the Russian forces are attempting to gain full control over it. According to Remy, the latest news suggests that the Russian forces have managed to advance within the city, and we've also seen this video here of the TOS-1 system working in the Marinka area on the Ukrainian positions. So the Russian forces are continuing their attacks. However, their actual advances are not clear as of so far. And then we see continuous attacks here across the front line here as well. And neither side seems to be advancing other than small advances in open fields. As we see here, this is all an open field. They have managed to cross this valley here. So they have actually passed the first line of defense of the Russian forces. However, they don't have a valid foothold as they were pushed back from Novodonetsk and haven't fully captured the village as the Russian forces managed to counterattack. As for the west of the Kherson region, we see that the Kakhovka dam has actually been blown up, and the question is actually very interesting because there's many factors to take into account. First of all, why was it blown up and who blew it up? That is a very heavy question because there's no clear answer. I have yet to see any videos of how it took place. Was it blown up by bombs? Was it blown up by artillery, rocket strikes? How exactly did it happen? And then Remy comes with a very interesting suggestion. He says that most likely neither side actually blew it up. What he says is that it had been damaged throughout the year of fighting, and there were many strains on it, and with limited maintenance due to the ongoing war, neither side have been able to actually repair it. And under the pressure of the water going up, we see with this graph right here that at the moment of destruction, it is the highest it has been for the past 4 years. So with the increased level of water flow on the eastern side of the power plant, the water just kept adding up to the point that the strain was too much for the dam, and it blew up by itself. It was destroyed by itself. So that's a very interesting theory. Not sure if it's true. Could also be the Russians or the Ukrainians blowing it up. However, I believe that it is unlikely because there are multiple merits and demerits for both sides in this case. However, none of them adds up to it being a legitimate target. The Ukrainians are advocating that the Russians were the one who destroyed it because they were afraid of a Ukrainian naval attack across the Dnieper River, flanking the Russian positions in the Kherson region. However, I do not believe that is the case because the Ukrainians lack proper equipment and training to do a proper naval assault across the Dnieper River. So I do not believe that is a likely possibility, which removes the necessity of the Russians blowing up this dam and only leaves with demerits as the canal being dry, as the water will flow across the dam and will not be able to flow down the canal here to the south. And the Ukrainians' advantage would be to just overflow all of the areas across the Kherson area. However, that doesn't make sense for them to do it now then they could have done it a long time ago when the Russians first retreated from Kherson, or even prior to them retreating from Kherson. So the merits of the Ukrainians blowing off the Kakhovka dam was much higher earlier on, so it makes no sense for them to do it now rather than then. So I don't believe either side has an interest in blowing it up, so it could very well have just been too much pressure on it and it just destroyed itself. And that is all for this update. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.